Yes, guys, how are we? Welcome. Another episode of ThreeTings. I think this might be number 49 or number 50. But today we're going to tackle one serious subject, one other serious subject, and another subject. Yeah. First subject is going to be just like about the mental health system. The experiences around it, and just like the preventable deaths, it's a very dangerous place, more dangerous you could say than knife crime, being detained under the mental health, more dangerous potentially than knife crime or any other crime out there. Someone detained under mental health statistically is in all sorts of danger. All sorts of danger. Not even like funny. You're in all sorts of danger. It doesn't matter how healthy you are. If you're detained under the mental health, your life is in serious danger, as far as I'm concerned. Next, we're going to talk about just like Europe seems to be a little bit complacent in terms of thinking or believing that, what's happened in yesteryear doesn't repeat itself. Yes, we're entering a new age where it's all about psychological control, you could say, and weapons are being controlled. Weapons that can cause mass destruction, right? But you still can't be complacent. And, London is very close, geographically close. Europe is a small place, If Vladimir Putin, once again, if he was like going down, they like to say he's losing. What happens when somebody's losing and they're like a psychopathic person, you say? Or you've heard stories about him when he was a kid. He would fight, he would like scratch, bite, do anything he could to win. And that's what made him a winner. So what makes you think like if he's losing, he's capable of doing anything? If he's going down, you need to be careful. More about like regime change. But if Putin was losing, you're talking about it wouldn't be out of the question that he would bomb London. He wouldn't put it past himself. You couldn't put it past him. And with the weapons that they've got now, is London able to defend against something like that? If they just decided one day. They won't. You'll see it coming, right, in theory. But if they decided to, could you defend that? And if the answer's no, then that's a serious issue. Do you know what I mean? Because it only has to happen once, right? 9/11 only has to happen once. So you need to be preparing for the worst case scenarios. Right, so the first thing that I want to talk about, mental health, like perishing under the Mental Health Act. It would be well known that, you're in serious danger, just statistically, if you are sectioned under the mental health, right? And people should know that. You should know that. If you can get somebody sectioned under mental health, there's a high chance they can just accidentally die. Right? Do you know what I mean? More so than any knife crime. More so than anything. It's like a war against the depressed and suicidal people as well, because they need help, right? But I just want to say this first off. If you've handled or taken any abuse under Mental Health Act, and you've lived to tell the tale, come out and tell it today. Like, you'll be believed. Come out and tell it. Come out and say it. If you can't say it, come to me. Come to me. Like, let me know it by innuendo or whatever, what they've done to you, knowing you're vulnerable, knowing no one wouldn't believe you. If you've had any type of abuse that you think could have caused you serious harm psychologically in terms of wanting you to off yourself or kill yourself or whatever, let me know. If you've been abused sexually, physically, whatever it is, man, somehow let me know. If you can't get it out yourself, but come out and say it. Yeah, I've coined a new term. I'm going to call it the Lou 2 or Lewisham 2. Lewisham 2 movement. Yeah. Right, so let me just reel off a few statistics, right? Thousands die under the UK mental health system yearly, with over 15,000 in care trust 2022 to 2023. And hundreds annually dying while detained under the Mental Health Act, often from preventable physical conditions or suicide, highlighting significant systemic risks, care failings, and a need for better integration between mental and physical health care. Key figures and statistics. Annual care deaths. More than 15,000 patients died in the care of the NHS mental health trusts in England between March 22 and March 2023. 15,000. Yeah. Including deaths from suicide, accidents and physical illnesses. Mental Health Act detainees, around 270 to 273 people per year died while detained under the Mental Health Act between 2012 and 2019. So that's when you get approached and they try and section you, like that's how many people have died from that, yeah? A figure that rose during the pandemic, with 490 deaths reported in the year to March 21. So just because of COVID, yeah, the figure's almost doubled. People have died in custody just from COVID. But it's nothing to do with COVID, right? But you could say, you don't know, right? Now, premature deaths from preventable illnesses, over 26,000 adults with severe mental health illnesses in England died prematurely before 75 between 2020 to 2022, with 87,000 of these deaths linked to preventable physical conditions like heart or respiratory disease. So basically, these people are being left to die in mental health institutions, right? Cause and contributory factors. So a significant number of deaths stem from physical health issues, with many patients not receiving adequate physical health checks, leading to misdiagnosis. Care failures and negligence. Reports like those investigated by The Guardian point to systemic failures, lack of staff and errors by NHS trusts leading to preventable deaths. Suicide remains a major concern, with studies analysing methods and risks for those in contact with mental health services. So basically, you're at more of a detriment when you go and look for help from these people sometimes if you're suicidal than if you're at home alone with your mum. Yeah? Systemic pressures, bed shortages and overall system strain have been linked to increased risks and deaths, as highlighted in the community care reports. So call for improvement. Organisations like the Royal College of Psychiatrists advocate for better integration of mental and physical health services, increased access to physical health checks and public health campaigns to address lifestyle factors like smoking and obesity in people with SMI. Whew. I'm pissed. I'm basically, disproportionately, if you're from like a working class background, you have a high probability that if you encounter mental health issues, this is where you end up, right? This is somehow where you slide down, no matter which way the ball rolls, right? But when it does, you expect like your loved ones to be like looked after and cared for, and suddenly something happens to them whilst in that care, because your mind is linked to your body, man. Your body can shut down off your mind, right? Sure, people would have had that happen, you know. I've heard cases of people just like their mind is gone and their body goes, you know. It doesn't matter how old you are, however, you could be in your 20s. Yeah, as I had a friend that happened to, you know, called Nikki. Yeah. And, yeah, like, I've seen, like, some of the care that these people are handing out. There's some people doing some fantastic work. But there seems to be some others that are, I don't know whether, you've got to remember certain industries attract certain types of people. Like the police are highly vulnerable to people that love to abuse power. They cannot do anything about it. They give you a badge after a few weeks of training, right? And you now have power to wield a badge that gives you power over 90% of the public. Do you know the feeling? You've never had power in your life. You go on a course for 32 weeks. Now you can pull up anyone, anywhere in the world, or in the UK, right? Same goes for mental health. Like, you can abuse vulnerable people, right? and know they've got no one that would believe them, even their own family and their loved ones. They can be estranged and you know they're on their own. So they can be sexually abused, everything. And it doesn't matter who you are either. And if you are anyone of note or anybody of social stature, you might not even want to come out and speak about abuse because of your stature. No one's going to want to talk about being abused. You're going on like everybody exposes it. When you hear about these Me Too movements and all the rest of it, it's just the tip of the iceberg. You're only hearing about 2% of what really happens. Yeah. With the Me Too movement, you've heard the 2% before. It's probably gone to 10, but there's probably like 90% more people to come forward. But do you know what? I've got a career. I don't want everyone to know about it, and it's very embarrassing. Do you get where I'm coming from with this? So anyway, this is the first thing that I wanted to speak about. You're going to see my moods change between these videos. But yeah, once again, I want to end this. Lutu, yeah, the Lutu movement. Come out, man. Come out and say if you've had any abuse. Like, if you had any abuse whilst like being fucking vulnerable and needing help, yeah. No matter who you are, man, come out and, do you know what I mean? And the bigger and stronger that you are, like the bigger that everyone thinks you are around, the more you'll inspire everyone to come out. But come out at the same time. Come out. Make it today. Make it today or tomorrow. This video is going to come out today or tomorrow. Any abuses that you've had, come out and let it out. You'll be believed. You'll be believed. Do you know what I mean? You'll be believed. Trust me, you'll be believed by me as a very one, yeah? Anyway, that's the first thing. So the next subject that I wanted to speak about was just GB News today. I'll read the article to you a little bit just to start off with, but it's regarding just like the stance on like what's happening in Europe regarding Ukraine, Russia, right, which is quite important and it's on our doorstep, yeah? So give me a second. Right. So, NATO chief warns Europe war with Russia is at our door as he tells allies to prepare for action now. So, Western nations have been warned they must prepare to face war on the scale of our grandparents and great-grandparents endured in the wake of the threat from Russia. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte delivered the start warning in Berlin on Thursday, urging European allies to end their quiet complacency. The former Dutch Prime Minister told a security conference that the alliance's 32 member states, including the UK, must dramatically increase their military preparedness to deter Russian aggression. We are Russia's next target, Mr. Rutte declared. I fear that too many are quietly complacent, too many don't feel the urgency, and too many believe that time is on our side and it's not. So, like, this is what gets me with like a lot of the politicians, but good thing they've come out of it in the last week, because I was saying this the week before last, yeah. But it's all been about the news this week, yeah. But how they come off to me was that, like, I'm hoping in your cabinet, like, somebody's going to the Premier, tap on the shoulder. We are actually in a, I mean, you do know, like, you're in a proxy war with Russia at the moment. You do know, like, it's a proxy. Ukraine is a proxy, like a live proxy. Yeah, it is. It's a proxy state, and it's a proxy war with Russia that could bring Poland into it, but it's a proxy war with Russia. You do understand you're in a proxy war. You do understand you're in a cold war with Russia at the moment, or you should see it that way. And sometimes I think you do privately, because that's how I would be, but you have to act like you're not. Sometimes you have to act aloof, yeah, to the public, but you actually are preparing for this. But I just want to say, like, I would be seriously concerned if they're sitting in the cabinet and no one has said those words to them privately. I mean, 6 months ago, not now. Even before then, if you haven't got anyone constantly saying those types of things, because paranoia is what keeps people safe, mate, throughout the sands of time. right? They like to say they use it against you in this new social sort of social psycho world. Yeah, but it's what keeps one where they are, you know. But if you've got nobody in the cabinet saying things like that, speaking like that, you are dangerous people to me. You're highly dangerous. And they come off, the politicians to me, they come off a little bit like, and it's true, let's not beat around the bush for this, right? If a bomb hits, whatever, my kids ain't most likely going to be there. My family ain't most likely going to be there. And it's not going to be my family on the front lines. That's how they behave. That's how they behave. You know? Like, that's how they come off to me. Do you know what I mean? Blatantly, they come off like they're never ever going to get touched by this because of location and because of their class. That's how they come off. They don't think like it would be them. And if it is a war, it won't be their family or their loved ones, you know. They're nowhere near it. They'll be nowhere near it. You know? And that's unfair. You wouldn't want leadership to come off like that. I'm hoping they don't privately, but that's how they come off. They come off like it's me, and I'm not going to get in the middle of this. But whoever is, do you know what I mean? It's not fair on the the lower classes, because they're the ones that if London was to get bombed or attacked or drone strikes or whatever, they're the ones that are going to take the brunt of it. And by significant numbers, there's 15 million people here anyway, so it's still likely it's not going to be you. But they just come off a little bit complacent and a little bit like it won't be me, definitely, and it won't definitely be them. It'll be like me or you, like the average person on the street that is affected by a war of, do you know what I mean, if drones come flying over London, you know? So they're never ever going to be like worried about it physically. And you never should be if you're a politician. You're up in the hills, you're rich, whatever. You never should really be. But you're in that position to show care for mankind or your subjects or your constituents or your people that you're looking out for. That's what you're there for, right? So you can't see that and you can't act like it either. But I'm hoping what you say privately is different to what you say publicly, because sometimes I'm thinking to myself publicly, I don't want Putin to know that I'm onto him and that, you know, we're running a sustained it's a sustained campaign of like bordering disinformation against you because we see you coming. I'm hoping that's what's going on in the background. So to the public, you need to play another picture and tell them, make it out like you're aloof to fool Putin into thinking that you're not watching him. That's all I can think. But if there's no one in the cabinet that speaks like, my God. And also, as well as that, if there's no one in the cabinet that speaks to the RAF, the SAS, whoever, the Ant Middletons and whatever, and doesn't say these words, sir, major, whatever, what would you recommend in a situation like this? What is it you need? Do you know what? I don't think I can do that for you. Because now in the day, like, you don't mess around with people. Yeah? I don't think I can do that for you. Definitely not. We ain't got the finance. Sorry. I'm not gonna meddle around with you. We haven't got it. We can get it if we do this, but you'll have to wait a year or two. Yeah? But we need it now. It's desperate. Okay, sir, what would you recommend? This is what I recommend. Okay, there's no brown envelope going to a weapons maker. It's there that you're receiving in a few years' time that I'm going to have to cover you up for. Because if there is, this is when. Do you know what I mean? Talk like that. If there's nobody that's doing these things in the government, sometimes I think they're not doing. They must be doing these things, right? They must be. Please, they must be. They must be. I'm completely crazy. They must be talking like this at the government level, right? Please, do not tell me that nobody has these types of theoretical conversations. Or just like speaks to people with the type of respect that are at military positions that will put their neck on the line for you in that kind of way. I know they must do, right? Right, okay. Alright, all good. One. Sorry, I'm getting carried away. Alright. That's the second thing I want to talk about. Right, and so the last thing I wanted to talk about was just that to the ladies. Um, you know, I like talking about serious subjects, but I also like talking about, like, there's other serious subjects, man. We're talking about war, country, grooming, all these things going on. Yeah, right. But sometimes I just want to, like, wait till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, about 11, 12 is when I kick into gear, right? And I just want to talk to you about your tuntun. Yeah, I want to talk to you about your ting. Like, do you know what I mean? At night, come on, you know what I'm talking about. What do you mean I can't talk to you about your ting? I want to talk to you about your ting. I want to talk to you about it and tell you about it. And I want to talk to you nice, man. I want to talk to you nice. I want to give you that hot water bottle, but, just a verbal one that you feel from me talking. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Little exploits, little stories. Do you know what I mean? Get your juices flowing. Just a little chat. Nothing's ever going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's a little chat. Do you know what I mean? I really want to do this, but then I don't know where my life's going because, like, I want to be like, and this is what's serious about it. Like, I might want to be a teacher or, like, work with kids and stuff like that. And if you come out and you start talking about adult, stuff that we need to talk about, man. Fuck this. We need to talk about these things. Sorry, I'll have to cut that word out expletive. But yeah, we need to talk about these things, darling. Do you know what I mean? We need to talk about your thing, like, do you know what I mean? Directly. It's my business. Do you know what I mean? And I want to talk about it. Yeah, I want to talk about it. Yeah, I want to talk about it. It's my business, and I want to talk about it. Yeah, and I want to tell you some little stories, just racy encounters and stuff like that. Get you flowing before you go to bed. And do you know what I mean? Little naughties, man. Do you know what I mean? There's all this serious stuff going on, and we just need to talk about other serious things that are very important. Do you know what I mean? Making someone feel comfortable, making someone feel nice. You know what I mean? A lot of women in their 40s, 50s, 30s, they want to hear something nice and a little bit sexual or sensual or whatever from a frustrated man. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I'm toing and throwing because at the end of the day, I could be training teenagers, kids and whatever, but on the flip side, I want to talk about plug talk. I want to give you some plug talk. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to do. That's what I really want to do. And it's like, it's actually pulling me apart sometimes. Sometimes I feel like don't dance in front of the camera because of the subjects that I've spoken about before. And it's just the facets to my character. And it frustrates me that I can't talk about. Do you get what I mean? Because I want to tell you about it and I want to talk to you about it. Do you know what I mean? I want to talk to you about it. Yeah. Do you know, I want to take you to heaven. Do you know what I mean? And make you, do you know what I mean? Because I've got somewhere to take you. It might be dark at first, but I've got somewhere to take you. It'll be light in the end, but I've got somewhere to take you, man. Anyway, that concludes this episode of ThreeTings. I hope this message reaches you well. I'm not going to really sum up on the conclusion. I'll just leave it for each section of what it is. But just lastly, anybody, man, come out and speak up about your experiences, man, in certain situations. Invisible, but the amount of lives that you can save, the amount of people that will have their family come around them when they read these statistics, the amount of people that are going to be potentially quite emotional today when they see this video, and knowing what happened to their loved one, knowing it could be prevented. Do you know what I mean? Like I said before, man, an ounce of prevention's better than a pound of cure, And at the end of the day, man, like, you can prevent like 26,000. You're talking about knife. It's got nothing on knife crime. Nothing at all. Do you know what I mean? Nothing. Needs dealing with, man. Anyway, God bless. Deliver this message straight to your heart because it's from mine. All right, love, one.